Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and on Monday, August 21st, I had to check there, 2023, Dynex had a bunch of errors, but I was busy with my full-time job, my life, and stuff like that, that I didn't have time to catch up. So, I saw SerpentX video, and I am literally getting up to speed right now. I'm calling Yeti, and if they allow me, we're going to see what they have to say about yesterday. That was, that is what happened with Dynex. So let's see what Yeti has to say about this entire situation. We're going to bring him on right now. So yesterday, I noticed basically that both my systems, or multiple systems, were having malab issues, and I just switched off the algorithm and switched to a different coin altogether.
So that would have been about 10, 11 in the morning?
Yes, 10, 11. So that would be like 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So what happened on your end?
Okay, so the first thing we noticed was that there was some rather weird onboarding issues with the malab, right? We were getting bounce back rates like up the wazoo. The idea was that Dynex decided that a few of the bigger pools, or at least servers that they knew would be capable, were given a high capacity version malab, right?
Okay.
Which allowed, instead of your standard one connection a second, actually was able to sustain 50 connections a second on our server. Right now, that obviously you can see on our hash rate chart. It kind of released the network a little bit to breathe, to cope with the bounce back of everyone. In that same time, Ecopool also decided to crash, or had realized something and shut their services off so that they weren't going to cause problems. One way or the other, their hash rate went basically to zero. The only downside is every single miner that was obviously connected there had either Neuropool or our server pretty much in their malab list. And so Neuropool got smashed. Promptly they went offline, and our server was left to be the only thing that was holding up a lot of the network at the time.
Which is why you started getting an influx.
Which is why I also deployed a shed ton more malabs in the equation, right, to try and almost pick up the slack. They were obviously tailored around not having loads of people on them, but just enough to keep the network moving along, right? The last thing I wanted to happen was the blockchain to effectively stall out, right? Because that's terrible from a company perspective, a blockchain perspective, a Dynex perspective, right? Whichever way you look at it, it wasn't the right idea, right? So basically what we ended up finding was that there was a issue with servers onboarding, and they had to increase capacity. Well, so for the space of, I would say, the next sort of 6 hours, I would say, to about, what's that? It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon starting time, your local time. We started to see major network hash drop off the network, right? And you can see on our hash rate chart, we went from like 50 mega hash in less than a minute. In less than an hour, should I say, we were down to 30 mega hash. And within the space of 2 more hours on that, we were down to literally stalled out at 3 mega hash. And those 3 mega hash on the network were just machines that had yet to sort of disconnect at that point. The server was dealing with so many processes, like, of terminating clients off the network, that it just couldn't keep up. And so we slowly basically watched the pool die all the way to zero over the course of a 4-hour window.
Right.
Now, obviously, this is the bit where it gets a little technical, and I'm probably going to have to explain it to you. So by default, MySQL, which is what Dynex uses to store their atomic update system,
I know
for
what
their
MySQL is.
Right. Well, I don't know if you've ever used predetermined statements before in SQL.
I have not, but I had to modify predetermined statements at work.
Yeah.
For my job.
So you know the idea behind predetermined statements is that if you know what's going to be coming in each time, you can effectively remove half of the statement because that's not dynamic, right? And then it's all you're doing is effectively adding or removing or tweaking an element that's already part of that statement, but only that very one specific element. Right. Well, they ran out of predetermined SQL statements on their server. All 16,335, I believe it was, were full.
Wow.
So what that means is that either something was holding the statement active, right, and wasn't timing it out, or the miner wasn't actually timing it out from the atomic update, right? So basically their MySQL hard locked. It couldn't do what it was intending to try and do, which was actually sort itself out by dropping a ton of like database locks. The only way to undo that was to have most pools roll back and move on. Now that lasted for about an hour, and what we found was that about after an hour the same error happened again, right? But this time no one was around. This was about 1 a.m. my time, right?
Okay.
Which is, it's about 7, 8 o'clock your time ish.
Yeah, it was at night.
Yes, but it was also like 3 o'clock in the morning in Austria, where the Dynex team is. So obviously, I tried to get hold of somebody, tried my best to constantly get through. Unfortunately, it just looked like the team was unavailable at the time. Now that could be because they put their phone on silent, thinking that they had solved the issue, gone to grab few hours sleep because they thought, oh well, it's only been an hour.
Right.
Quickly go and get some sleep, come back to it first thing in the morning, and get cracking. Right. Well, by the time they got back, the whole blockchain had stalled.
Right,
completely.
And that's where Son of a Tech's video came out. There was a post around 11 o'clock.
Yes.
So this is after 8 p.m. Monday when
Correct.
I noticed the issue was back.
Yes.
And I commented that I don't have the time to look into it. And
Correct.
I figured, you know what? Here's the thing, real quick, just to interrupt you. Don't lose your train of thought, though. Is pool devs and crypto mining developers for various projects have a fucking life. They have a life, and they can't sit there 24/7 in front of their computers to make sure everything is working. This is a new implementation of blockchain.
Also, is something else to think of, right? Is that when you fix something, right, you would normally give it an hour before you say, okay,
it's fixed.
System's running okay.
Yeah.
Let's quickly go grab some sleep, and we'll be in nice and early first thing in the morning.
And
right?
we'll continue working. We'll go through the logs.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's just normal routine for that kind of scenario, right? Especially late at night or early hours of the morning, right? You just get the service back online temporarily, and then you call in the resources properly first thing in the morning for your job. Right? That's normal in most professions, right?
Right.
However, what we found was, and this is the bit that obviously needs proper context, and I'm trying to get proper context to understand it all.
Okay, hang on to that thought. Hang on to that thought, because I want to make this clear. because we're at the 10-minute mark or 11-minute mark in this recording.
Yep.
That's going to go on the YouTube channel. Anything
Yeah.
proprietary and any information proprietary, do not divulge. Yeti does not work for Dynex. Yeti is
No.
his own individual. He has a 9 to 5 and a family to take care of. He just has a pool, and he works hand in hand, or tries to work hand in hand with the Dynex team to optimize, implement, stuff like that. He also helped improve the web wallet recently, but I want to make sure it's clear. Yeti does not work for Dynex and does not represent Dynex solely. That's Sumitomo and a number of others that he's just working alongside in this wonderful world we call blockchain. So continue on.
Actually, to just add a caveat to that, I've actually been asked by Dynex to act completely independent. So there is almost like an oversight on them.
Yeah,
and they've asked for that.
And that's how it should be. The community is the oversight, but the problem is 9 times out of 10 when we come to a project with a proposal or a problem or a recommendation, they usually shoot us down. In this case, Dynex is welcoming, right? There was a little bit of push and shove at the beginning, but they're more welcoming than most projects I've bumped into, and are willing to work with the community, not just yourself either. So that's a good thing for the entire ecosystem, period. But continue on what you were saying regarding context.
So Dynex has obviously put out a formal statement about it, but they're also the bit that obviously is relevant to what I'm about to say is the bit that they're conducting a formal review, because the pool miner ad now was able to continue to mine and move the blockchain on, while every other pool wasn't able to, because we were locked out of the system, so to speak. Now, Dynex doesn't understand quite all of the intricacies of this, because what it looks like is that they built their own mallob endpoint solution in Golang. Now, obviously, cross-compiling and different types of source code of the same thing written in different languages is not uncommon in software. It's just a little unusual that given that Dynex keeps that code very close to the chest at the moment, and that's changing, it's a little unnerving how they were able to have, for the best part of 8 hours, they had the entire network to themselves. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing anything bad, right? It could just be that how they've implemented what they were doing with their Golang version of mallob could be the reason why it didn't crash, right? It might not rely on predetermined statements like the current pull services and mallobs do. So we don't know yet. And that's why, I said that it needed a bit of context, right? I don't want anyone to jump the gun thinking that a pool is doing wrong until all the facts are in.
Right.
We don't know the facts right now, and it would be, irresponsible of me to give you incorrect information. What I'm giving you now is what they put out in their announcement as well, so anyone can freely go and look what I'm saying.
We're looking at the Post Mortem on Twitter. There also are announcements in their Discord as well. Yep. But yes, I concur. Continue on.
Yeah. So obviously, the biggest downside to that is obviously it pushed the blockchain on a little bit, to which there's internal discussions as to what to do about that, because for 8 hours, effectively, miner ad now had an unfair advantage. But again, they might have had an unfair advantage, but whether it was malicious or intentional is right now anyone's guess, right? It would be pure speculation.
Yeah, right now they're at 31.7 of the network hash rate, and they're in the #1 spot.
It seems to be that their Golang mallob endpoint has the ability to scale out how fast it can onboard compared to current malloc.
And
Now that could just be that they're running a powerhouse of a server, or it could be that Golang is just more efficient for that initialization system.
But are they working with the Dynex team to
Yes.
providing logs and everything that they need so that way
Yeah,
they can help improve?
Actually, Dynex is probably going to go one better and conduct a full-scale review internally on all pools. I was the first to say, look, we've got nothing to hide on our pool. You need access to our code, not a problem. You just let me know where to send it, because at the end of the day, we got nothing to hide, right? Any pool who doesn't have anything to hide won't have an issue with working with Dynex to show them that their code's safe and not being exploited or misused in any way,
Right.
And that's the thing. This is going to take. It's not a 1 hour fix, is it? Let's be honest, right? Diagnosing what went wrong, putting in new procedures, understanding those procedures, what as in the impact it's going to put on your company.
This happens all the time.
This
happens all the time, and like not just proof of work, but proof of stake. Solana, Cardano. Cardano is resilient now because
I would actually say it happens in all forms of companies.
Yeah, not just in blockchain. Yes, exactly. And so you need to go back. You need to do a post-mortem. You need to review what I call a root cause analysis. What was the root cause analysis? Was there any mitigation tactics we could have used to mitigate this issue or whatever it might be? And then you work on implementing it. But it's going to take, like you said, time.
Along with also the reason why their disaster recovery procedure did not kick in correctly. Now, that's because, that could be that their disaster recovery didn't foresee this eventuality, right? We're only human after all. And, the team is only human after all. We can all make mistakes, right? I'm one of the worst for making mistakes in my life. But we all have to make those mistakes in order to learn from them, right? So for me, we just need to give them a little bit of time to be able to sift through mountains of data. I suspect there is quite considerable amount of data because, this problem was for nearly 8 hours in total. That's going to be a lot of data to sift through to understand what went wrong, how it went wrong, and what they can do in the future to stop it going wrong again.
Well, I'm sure they got their timestamps, but it started for me on the East Coast of the United States around after 10:30, around 11, anywhere between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. It was fixed later in the day, I think around 1 p.m., and then it came back around 8, a little bit before 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if that helps them out. But I'm sure their logs will show the timestamps.
And that aligns with what we were seeing timeline-wise within a few minutes.
So I want to read this real quick because I want to wrap up this video and get it out to the community. And I thank you for helping me get up to speed. I did catch up on a few things, but I appreciate you helping me get up to speed. They have it in a section here in the announcement saying that this, having said in a previous section, I'll have the link down in the description. This further increases the urgent need to even more redundancy as a first step, which I have instructed and already to be deployed. But more importantly, we need to accelerate the process to remove malab entirely from the mining software. Our team has been working already since while embedding on the proof of use of work data flow seamlessly into Stratum protocol, which is commonly used in pools. Current ETA for testing is around 4 weeks. And we put all our weight into finalizing this ASAP. So that's something that Son of a Tech that I just showed on screen while Yeti was talking was saying that there was an announcement to bypass this issue or fix the malab issue. Looks like Dynex is back up and running due to lower hash rate. It's popping up as the most profitable. Be careful though, because it doesn't sound like they are rate limiting the malab endpoints, which could make connections frustrating. Are you seeing any issues on your server yet?
None at all. We've actually been pleasantly surprised that we're not suffering with the amount we're onboarding at the moment and trying to get back onto the network. It is causing a little bit of a queue. Maybe not so much with ours at the moment, but I know that some pools are obviously, they're borderline specced out to the nth degree. So it might just be that they were never envisioning having to onboard this many people this fast.
Your pool has been on a. I just wanted to note that your pool has been on a steady decline from around 80 mega hash downwards, and now it's only around 40 mega hash. I don't know why people are getting off of DeepMinerz pool when it's been the most reliable out of all of them. I know the Malabares.
I can give you a little bit of that. Some of that is to do with obviously Hero Miners running a competition at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's right, and they have 0% fees too.
They also have 0% fees.
So I can see that because you can see Hero Miners hash rate like going in the opposite direction of where yours is going at a diagonal angle. So while yours was going down in a diagonal angle, theirs was going up at a diagonal angle. So that seems about right. The miners are just switching to whatever is going to get them the most bang for their buck. And then when Hero Miners ends that competition or increases the fees to the standard rate, I expect people to come back. But also this outage yesterday didn't exactly help your case.
No, absolutely not. Although out of most of the pool devs, there was only us that was completely active through the entire scenario. We had all three of us online at one point trying to give usable information to miners to explain what was going on and, just try and bridge that gap a little bit so that people understood what was going, like what our struggles were, what our plans were. Like I said to you, we were spinning up more capacity for the network as fast as it was, becoming problematic and full again. So it was just unfortunately a losing battle for me because there's only so fast you can spin up the hardware in a never-ending battle.
Yeah.
So just a shame because I would have preferred their blockchain not to stall out. That's never good for any project.
Right.
But there are plenty of examples where, blockchains have stalled. Solana has had their fair share. And, each time that it happens, you diagnose what's wrong, you learn by it, and hopefully that mistake never happens again.
Well, every time it happens too, you lose a little bit of the trader or the community's trust or the miners' trust as far as consistency, right? Because as from a miner perspective, I'm a farm, and I lose 8 hours of profitability. That could be a huge impact. So we want consistency, we want reliability, and I understand that. But this is a new project, trying to do new things and trying to change how the world, I guess you could sees blockchain. So there's going to be growing pains. I'm sure it will get figured out, but I want to wrap up this video because we're already at 24 minutes long. What were you about to say?
No, I was just going to mention one other thing about the process to remove the malloc, right? Because I think it's important people understand that is going to be a considerable task, right, to get right first go out the box, right? Mm-hmm. So be prepared for a bit of a bumpy ride as they start to migrate over to that new methodology, shall we call it? And obviously, I'm hoping that my suggestions for mitigating some of these things from happening again can go a long way. If I can give some suggestions to how to make their systems and their network more robust, then I only see that as a good thing, right?
Right.
And it shows that they're willing to listen to people in their community with the experience, right? Don't feel like they're not willing to listen as long as what you're trying to explain is, very respectful to what's going on. And it's not just, sit here and troll somebody for 50 minutes trying to say that you'll help them when you're not going to do anything, right? Because that doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, it's all about the presentation, how you present
Yeah.
yourself, how you present the argument. You know, you can't just complain. That's one of the things we talked about in previous videos is complaints and trolling doesn't really help anything. Now, if you're
No, it
going to have
doesn't.
a constructive bit of criticism, but then also maybe provide a solution or a resolution or a recommendation, then they should
That's
be
what their
all, they
bounty
should be all
platform
for
is
it.
for. That's what their bounty platform is for. That if you come up with a viable fix for something that's a problem, then if you reach out, they have a bounty program for that exact purpose. And everyone, you know, everyone loves to get a little bit of extra money, right? If you come up with the solution and they deem that the fix, then hey, then you get something out of it as well as a, you know, a thank you in the notes for that update, saying, you know, you and that's providing you want to be known. Not every person who does bounties want to be known.
Yeah,
They
you can do
you
it
know, some like
anonymously
to be
though.
in the, yeah, some like to be hidden and out the way, shall we say?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Some people are okay with, you know, being put on the spot, and others aren't. I get it. So, but yeah, that's effectively what their bounty program's for.
Okay. Well, sorry that you had a rough day yesterday as a pool operator with
I guess,
DeepMinerz
you know,
pool.
it's one of those things that's you learn by your by by the experiences you get. Right, this is the first major outage we've suffered as a pool. So for me, it was, you know, what do I need to do? What procedures do we now need to put in place to help us?
Right.
To which we've actually thought of a couple that we can put in place to allow us to better manage this sort of issue going forward. Now, there's obviously not a lot we can do, but there's definitely procedures we can put in place to make sure that, you know, when the network starts to recover, we don't effectively flood our own servers off the network,
Right.
where you just open those doors
So,
and everyone comes back like opening the floodgates.
well, according to what you said earlier, it's a learning experience that the Dynex team it needs to comb through and analyze and understand to improve
Yep.
that redundancy. To summarize, expect issues in about 4 weeks' time with Malib switchover, when they're switching over from Malib to Stratum. That
I
could be a
believe they're
bit
going to
bumpy.
beta test that first. They're
They're probably
definitely going to be beta testing that
more than
first.
likely. I would expect them to. You know, that's what
Yeah.
you should do.
That's
But
way too important not to be testing thoroughly before you deploy that.
even after the beta test and the rollout, I have a feeling that there might, like you said, be a little bit of bumps. So bear with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And I know DeepMinerz pool is now number 6 on the hash rate, mining pool stats.stream. But I like them because they're the only website that shows the job we can work or that we're currently working on. So you should check them out. I'll have a link down in the description. And hopefully the team over at Miner Ad now is working with Dynex to implement or see what was different about them compared to others. So thank you for all the information provided in this video. I'm sorry it ran a little bit longer for my viewers, but I hope this is a good summary for you to get caught up. This is more of a listening piece, not so much a video piece. So thank you for stopping by. Make sure to hit the like button, get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out any links in the description down below. That helps out the channel or just gives you additional information. And Yeti, any last words real quick?
No, man, just, you know, I want to make sure that people realize that the one thing I'm trying to make sure with Dynex is the transparency. You know, the more they're transparent, the more people understand what they're having to go through for struggles and learning curves.
Right.
You know, the more people understand, the easier things are to get your head around.
And that we kind of spearheaded the whole previous drama that kind of took on the Dynex community by trying to get pieces together, people together, make sure communication was heard, make sure people were aligned and in sync. And it's a community. You know, we're all in it together. So rather than fight each other and bash each other, let's work together to continue to improve, innovate, and define this industry. But Yeti is a very knowledgeable individual, an intellectual mind, and I'm glad to work with them and them have that connection to where they can work and help Dynex and grow in the direction that they're intending to grow. So excited to see where this goes. The future is never guaranteed, but always stay positive and see how things go, and hopefully Dynex learns from this and grows from this, and we can move forward and get off of Malab and make it a little bit more reliable, a little bit more stable. But I will see you guys in the next one, and I'm going to continue talking to Yeti offline. You have yourself a wonderful day, and as I said, hit the like button on the way out. I'll catch you in the next one, all right? Take care.